I was but a shadow in the court of King David, a servant named Eliam, my back bent under the weight of the royal expectations that hung heavy in the air. I stood on the fringes, watching as the great men of Israel gathered beside the throne, the murmur of their voices a mix of reverence and fear. Little did I know, a storm was brewing, one that would shake our land and shatter the very heart of our beloved king. It was a time of grandeur, yet I felt the undercurrents of unrest flow like a serpent beneath our feet. The cries of the oppressed echoed through the streets of Jerusalem, whispering of injustices and entitlements, surfacing like dark clouds above the sunlit palace. Among the whispers, the name of Absalom, the king's own son, began to rise. Oh, how charming he was, with that captivating smile and auburn locks that glistened like polished bronze. He drew men to him. His words were honeyed, persuasive, igniting flames of discontent among the people. "Why do you serve a king who burdens you with taxes and commands?" he would ask, a hint of rebellion in his tone. "Follow me, and we shall establish a new kingdom of fairness." I remember standing guard outside the banquet hall, the air thick with intrigue as Absalom schemed with those loyal to him, sowing seeds of discord in the hearts of our countrymen. Inivuk, a fellow servant, would speak of the growing discontent among the tribes, and I could see the doubt glimmer in the eyes of the men who once quaked before David's authority. But it was not just the political landscape that stirred. It was the emotional turmoil that wrapped around me, squeezing tighter each day. I had seen the fierce love David bore for Absalom, a love that seemed untouchable, even as the heir plotted against the king's throne. And yet, the irony gnawed at me. Our beloved king, a giant of faith, was blind to the rising storm within his own household. Then came the day that fate turned on its axis. Absalom had declared his intention to take back the kingdom. I cannot recall the moment my heart seized with dread as word spread through the palace. The prince had gathered men, warriors, and traitors alike, and they were marching against his own father. Desperation echoed in my mind. What would become of us? Would we stand with the king or follow the new dawn represented by Absalom? My heart pounded. The line drawn between loyalty and betrayal began to blur. I felt the call of my master, longing to protect him, yet the seduction of change whispered sweetly in my ear, feeding my fear. As night fell on Jerusalem, the city held its breath, awaiting the tempest that would unleash anarchy across our land. In the stillness of night, I found myself wandering the palace gardens, the moonlight casting silver shadows that danced upon the ground. My thoughts were tumultuous, as if they too were caught in a tempest of uncertainty. I couldn't help but replay every encounter I had witnessed. Absalom's charming speeches, David's unwavering belief in his son, and the simmering tension that crackled between the two. Each moment felt like a thread in a tapestry woven with betrayal and love. As dawn approached, a sudden realization swept over me. The loyalty I had felt for King David was being tested not just by Absalom's ambition, but by my very own convictions. Was the king still the shepherd we believed him to be, or was he now leading us into a valley of shadows, blind to the cries of his people? My heart tugged at the thought that maybe Absalom's anger, however misguided, resonated with a deeper truth that we had all ignored. Injustice breeds rebellion, and the seeds sown by years of neglect were finally bearing fruit. As the palace doors creaked open, I could hear the distant roar of men gathering beneath the banners of rebellion. Panic gripped me. I was but a lowly servant, yet I could feel the pulse of a nation caught between two forces. Sides were being chosen, alliances forged in hushed whispers as brothers became foes. I found myself drawn towards the courtyard, where the warriors rallied like thunder, ready to heed the call of their prince. Yet, as I approached the crowd, a thought struck me. Was I ready to trade my loyalty to a father for the charisma of a son? As the trumpets sounded, heralding the start of an unforeseen conflict, I stood frozen. David, my king, my protector, had flaws. His eyes had turned away from the cries for equity. But in tearing down the throne, would we only exchange tyranny for chaos? In that moment of clarity, I understood the duality of our struggle. Change could bring hope, but at what cost? As the first arrows arched through the morning air, the realization hit like a weight upon my heart. I had to make a choice. Not simply an allegiance, but a reaffirmation of my values. Absalom's revolt was not just a path toward power. It was a reflection of our collective failure to listen, to confront the uncomfortable truths lurking in our kingdom. With every beat of my heart resonating with the thunder of marching feet, I knew one thing. I could no longer be a mere shadow in the court. The time had come for those like me, servants and soldiers alike, to rise, to stand for justice and pave the way for a future deserving of the legacy we all wish to uphold. I turned away from the banners fluttering in the winds of change, committed to return to King David, to remind him of who he once was, and to do all in my power to heal the fractures of our land, not with swords, but with understanding and hope. For in the heart of conflict lies the very essence of unity.